70% of our planet is covered by water. Although there is still a lot to discover, we know most life is found in the oceans and seas. This is one of the main reasons why the world is coined Blue Planet. Yet, life in the water could be more difficult and dangerous than on land. Namibia is home to one of the wildest and most unforgiving coastlines in the world. The Atlantic Ocean stretches from north to south along the west of the country. Like most of the region, the conditions here are formidable. A unique geography where the ocean ends and the desert starts. The coast is always wavy and rough. Throughout history, this stretch of coastline has become a graveyard for those defeated by Mother Nature. The Benguela cold current feeds these shores with highly nutritious plankton carried north from Antarctica. This makes the Namib coast home to an abundance of species, despite its seemingly inhospitable appearance. Those who have adapted and remained strong have survived. This is the story of the wild coast of Namibia, the stage of a struggle between life and death for millennia. Namibia's Atlantic coast. The climate here is unfit for human settlement. However, these desolate lands where humans originated have always been appealing for explorers. Seafarers never underestimated these coasts. Portuguese explorers referred to the Namib Desert coast as the gates of hell. Despite their struggle, fate for some of them was catastrophic. Fierce waves, strong currents, and a dense curtain of fog that appears each morning. Hundreds of shipwrecks lie along the coastline, like witnesses to the voracious and deadly power of Mother Nature. Skeleton Coast might be the place that deserves its name the most. In 1976, the 90-ton fishing boat Southwest Seal ran ashore during a storm and caught fire. The survivors were actually not that lucky. They had to cross infinite sand dunes in hope of finding settlements with water and food. Most of the wreck survivors never made it out of the desert. This facility, located 2.5 kilometers inland, might appear a little luckier than the ships battling the huge waves of the Atlantic, but its fate is no different. Strong winds carrying ocean salt eats away at this structure, which once functioned as an oil rig. It might have managed to stay erect despite the elements. However, the equipment quickly became dysfunctional. Elizabeth Bay, a town founded over a century ago after the discovery of diamond fields on the Namib coast. It was built for the managers, engineers, workers, and their families. In 1954, the town was deserted following the discovery of larger fields with better quality diamonds. Since then, it is trying to withstand Mother Nature, and it will not be wrong to say that it is not doing that well. However, This town is not entirely deserted. There is a surprising inhabitant that has taken refuge in its remains. Normally taking shelter between rocks and in caves, the brown hyena is the new occupant of Elizabeth Bay. This reclusive creature is at the focal point of researchers. Every movement of the hyena is tracked with GPS transmitter collars, while the photo traps hidden in various parts of the town provide a regular stream of images. Researchers are very interested in the brown hyena's behavior. Why would the hyena choose a man-made place as its home? The answer to this question lies not far from Elizabeth Bay. The Cape fur seal, one of the most populous residents of the wild Namib coast, is the hyena's primary source of food. A tremendous crowd. Feeding on the nutrient-rich waters brought in by the Benguela Current. The Cape fur seal gathers on these beaches and rocks throughout the year. There are around 300,000 seals on Skeleton Coast alone. The anatomy of the Cape fur seal is actually quite unfit for terrestrial life. However, the dangers that lie in the ocean force the seals to take refuge on this coast. Seals have evolved to move in water, so they are rather incapable on land. Seals are extremely noisy creatures. Among the masses, mothers and pups recognize each other from smell and sound. Finding mother is critical for the pup. Mother's milk will be the only source of food until it learns to hunt. Seals seem satisfied at feeding time in the water. There is no sign of the clumsiness they display on land. While young pups wait on the shore for their mother's return, seals old enough to swim will accompany their mothers. Inexperienced seals do not go far from the shore. There could be sharks in these cold waters. The seal colony is not alone. The Atlantic coast of Namibia is also home to many bird species. Terns and cormorants are permanent residents of the coast. The cormorants know the potential dangers hidden in the wavy ocean waters. They wait for seals to drive the schools of fish closer to the shore. The Cape gull is both a predator and opportunist. It wanders around the seals. The gull is no threat to an adult seal, but could be dangerous for the pups. It is looking for a vulnerable pup whose mother is out at sea. However, finding food on these wild coasts is not a problem. This little pup has lost its mother in the water and cannot get back to the colony. It is hungry and exhausted, giving it little chance of survival without its mother and the rest of the colony. Cape gulls know this, and they wait patiently for the right moment. The unforgiving geography of Namibia is full of choices for opportunists. The seal colony is calm until the males arrive on the shore to establish harems. Territorial fights will begin once they reach the shore. Soon, new pups will be born. As newborn season approaches, one of the most unexpected figures of the Atlantic coast turns up in the area. Jackal, the opportunist hunter of African plains and forests. The coast is full of carcasses. The jackals will have to make do with them until the vulnerable pups start to appear on the beach. For now, the seals do not seem disturbed by the jackals. Nonetheless, it is wise to maintain caution. The jackal can be dangerous, especially for the pups. Although these windy and wavy coasts do not offer shelter to the jackal, the annual chance to eat plentifully is too great to miss. Jackals give birth to their pups at a time when food is abundant. The nutrient-rich waters of the Namib coast are also quite important for coastal birds. The salt pans in Walvis Bay are especially favored by flamingos. The small crustaceans that give flamingos their pink color are plentiful here. Birds follow the tide, and when the sea is out, they quickly flock to the beach, which is almost in the town itself. Gannets live in large colonies, just like seals and penguins. But there is a difference. Seals can live on top of each other from lack of space, but gannets cannot. Flocking to these coasts to reproduce, the gannet has to open space for itself and its nest. Their numbers have reached thousands, but more gannets are expected. Gannets are monogamous birds. Those who find a partner are lucky. They are not worried about trying to appeal to the opposite sex. That said, life is hard for the young ones and those who have lost their partner. They have to work hard to find a mate. As it is with many birds, the mating behavior of gannets are truly like a ceremony. this noble and elegant performance will last a little longer. Gannets who have found their mates start to build nests. This is hard work in such a crowded place. Partners groom each other in their free time. This method helps to clean and strengthen bonds between each other. Furthermore, any falling feathers are efficiently used in building the nest.
This is Halifax Island. It's one of 11 places in Namibia where penguins breed. Altogether in the world at the moment, we've got about 25,000 breeding pairs. Of those, about 6,000 are in Namibia and about 1,500 on Halifax Island. Unfortunately, their numbers are going down. And where we had 140,000 pairs in 1956, 1957, when we first counted those islands, we ended up with 36,000 pairs 10 years ago, and now only 25,000, we're still going down. So it's not a good situation for the birds, unfortunately.
Compared to other colonial bird species, penguins have a much longer reproductive period. While courting continues in the flock, baby penguins also start to appear among the adults. They might seem hefty, but these chicks are still very young. It will be a year before they shed their baby feathers and start to look like adults. Material for the nest is very important for penguins. This is especially the case in places like Halifax Island, where there is almost no guano.
Also another threat, a historical threat, is that the guano was taken off these islands because it makes good fertilizer. So in the past, these penguins would have made their burrows or their nests underground, and there they would have been safe from the gulls and also from the heat. So now you can see they're nesting on top and they're much more vulnerable there. So I came up with the idea of making a social housing development for the penguins called Bin Town. And I took rubbish bins and I cut them in half lengthwise and I buried them in the ground, and the penguins loved them. They even watched us build them and they moved in straight away. It's worked, but it needs maintenance, so it's not ideal, but it provides a roof over their heads, and we've had better breeding success in the bins than we've had on the surface. So I guess it's worth it.
Seaweed is abundant here, and it is a very efficient nest-building material for the penguins. While one of the partners makes the nest, the other collects material. Penguins are more comfortable in the sea than on land, but getting down to the sea is difficult here, despite the short distance. Back on land, it is not easy for a penguin to find its partner and nest among thousands of others. Can it steal material from its neighbors in the colony? It will have to try and see for itself. Cape gulls are a great threat for penguins, who are unable to hide their nests. Opportunist birds hang around the colony in hope of finding an unattended egg or chick. Much like seals, penguins are not very adept at life on land. Its wings, which were actually evolved to fly, now function as fins. Penguins can dive very deep, hunt and propel themselves out of water at tremendous speeds. The sharp decline in sardine populations have forced penguins to seek alternative foods. It is not easy to catch other fish, and none of them are as nutritious as sardines. Penguin populations are shrinking rapidly. Conditions are formidable along the coast. These waters, which can turn hunters into prey, is a habitat that allows many species to survive together. The objective is always the same: reproduce to secure future generations. Without human interference, nature will regenerate itself. And life on these shores will continue despite the daunting conditions.